online portal for government, and vehicle tax payment was actually one of the first services that we provided online. I'll use that actually as sort of the example of the slow adoption that we encountered when we put that online, because it wasn't just putting it online and pretty much marketing it as, okay, you can pay for your vehicle tax payment online. I think there was also a little bit of a communication challenge that we had with the public, because there were two parts of the communication that went out. One was, okay, you can go to this portal, submit your request, and pay for it online. Another one was you can pay for it online by doing an online bank transfer. And it kind of merged into pay for it online, but there's sort of two distinct ways or two distinct processes of how that is handled. In the case with an online bank transfer, there was, of course, there's a reconciliation process that needs to happen and so forth. And I mean, of course, we were able to eventually get instant payment, but that wasn't the case at the time when we launched it. And so a lot of people expected, okay, I transferred the money and so forth, but yeah, I didn't get a receipt, what's happening, it take a long time, et cetera, et cetera. And so that was one process, but we merged it actually as just online payment. And then the other process, which you go onto the government portal, you submit your request, and you pay with a credit or debit card, Visa, MasterCard, and it was instantly reconciled, and then you instantly receive the receipt and can continue your process. That was a separate process altogether. There was a trust factor as well that played a role in that. A lot of people saw, okay, credit, debit card, Visa, MasterCard, et cetera. Some people have, some people don't. Of course, there's a shift now to move completely to one of those networks. But a lot of people didn't trust it necessarily in the beginning. So there was a very slow adoption by the public to actually accept, like, I can go online and pay with my credit debit card and instantly get my receipt and instantly continue with my process. So in fact, actually, a lot of people still trusted the transfer more, or coming in person, of course, more than actually just using that process, even if they had the means to be able to do it. So one of the things that we saw was that there was a need to continue to kind of market it and educate the public on, you can use this route, and try to increase that adoption. I think there has been a bit of a increase in that adoption of being able to use it and trust that it works, and trust that, you know, the money will be delivered and the process can continue properly. But that's a slow process, and that's part of the transformation as well. That's a change that needs to happen across the island, no matter what services that you're going to be providing. So, I mean, I agree that, of course, the volume needs to increase, but of course the education behind of it, the communication behind of it needs to also be there to be able to facilitate that. I mean, we've had the possibility to pay utilities with a bank transfer for some time, but people still opted to wait in the long lines, in the heat, et cetera, until they facilitated tents and so forth. So that was the comfort of the island, and that sort of mind shift needs to, of course, change so that they feel comfortable with, I can do this transfer online. But it also becomes an important aspect, and I mean, I'm not going to delve into that too much, but the infrastructure, some of the core infrastructure has to be in place and reliable enough for people to also trust it.
Yes.
So that's the ISPs, the internet services, the utility services to provide power and so forth. If those things are not properly in place and properly trustworthy, people will still opt to say, I'm going to go in person to pay for this and wait in the line, rather than I can do this easily online.
So I see hands going up. We have one question over here, and then we have another question from the president.
I hope not for me.
I can't guarantee. So we have 3 questions currently. This is Jacques Heemskerk, one of our young entrepreneurs. Is it on?
Testing. Yes,
Okay,
good morning.
there we
I'm
go.
Jacques Heemskerk. I just started a small business a year and a half ago. And then while listening to all the presentations, thank you, by the way, for all your presentations and the questions and the information, I'm solution-minded. So I go directly into how can we approach these problems, these issues. My background comes from welfare. Welfare is one of the first things that get cut with any budget thing in government. So I'm used to making solutions with a little bit of money, a little bit of materials, tools. During one of the answers was mentioned for the week of literacy, financial literacy week.
Month.
The thing what I noticed with, I think, the 2 years that we've had it already is the lack of follow-up information. So you have this week of all this information about finances, where myself, I work till 7 o'clock at night at times. So I can't go to those workshops. So I look online to see, can I find a video? Can I find a workshop? Can I find a newsletter with the information or the presentation discussed during those weeks? No, I can't. I can't find those things. Maybe some here and there. But as a business registered under Chamber of Commerce, there's no link between that week and the small businesses who may not attend those things all the time.
So let me give some context to that, and then I'll ask you to get to your question, because we
It's
have
not really a
other
question
questions.
I'm
Oh,
going
okay.
for. I'm just trying to bring out some solutions. So
Sure.
as from welfare, what we did, especially in Holland when I worked there, and there was a shift into digitalization, especially with the processes of working in government or having people pay online, the seniors, for example, we pushed out from welfare a 3-year program where we informed the seniors, we invited them in the community, in community centers, throughout weeks and months, actually 3 years, of come on Thursday evening, come on Friday afternoon when your time, come talk to the social workers because they have the information. For 3 years you can do that, to inform the population, to show them this is the process, but also the winning. Because if someone who doesn't know it come to me and I know it, I can tell them, hey, I got all the information from my community center. It's trustworthy. Check it out. And then they'll trust the system more because they're not forced to go to government. They're not forced to take a bus or use gas money to get information that takes 5 minutes. It's more open when you bring the information to people, especially when they don't have the time to come to you, to make it more accessible. And then the last thing is, actually that's it. That's my 3 points. Be more community focused and have the access for that information through those links. Use Chamber, use use the community centers, right? Use the SCDA, the Community Development Humanitarian Affairs.
Yes.
Use them. They have 3 offices, I believe. 2 in Dutch Quarter and 1 in Cold Bay. But we have more than 3 districts. Why isn't there 1 in Simpson Bay? Why isn't there 1 in St. Peter's? Why are those departments in the districts only open from 9 to 12, last time I checked? Because when I walk into mine in Cold Bay at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, guess what? Doors locked. So I can't get no government information from my community development department office because they only work from 9 to 12, when everyone else in the community is working too.
Yeah. So thank you so much for that. Please give him a big round of applause. I know Ms. Brandon from the Chamber of Commerce had also a question or comment, but I just want to give some clarity. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm intimately involved in the creation and execution of this Maarten Financial Literacy Month. Last year, we executed 15 events in 30 days. This year was less. Nonetheless, we still did a big push. And to your point, one of the feedback is we need to find this information back. This needs to be recorded or disseminated. That now, when we did it as a pilot just to see what will the community do. And we were overwhelmed by the positivity. In under 48 hours, we got 200-300 registrations without much marketing budget, right? But to do that, you're right, we need the community, but we also need bigger budget. We need people to be there to do this kind of filming, to make sure that you have quality video, to make sure that the information is properly disseminated, to make sure that you could pay somebody between 12 and 6 or 7 and 10 to be able to give you information. That requires a whole nother budget. So it isn't pilot stage still. I have a follow-up meeting with the Minister of Finance to discuss programming, and then from there we're going to look at those kinds of comments that you so eloquently described. Ms. Brandon?
So I would first like to tap into the gracious young gentleman there who said, don't expect them to come to you, you go to them. That is a big problem. Technology takes us and it gives us a more impersonal life and environment because everything is done remotely via communications. But we cannot afford to leave an entire segment of our community behind because we are on a fast track with technology. I remember telling the Central Bank of St. Maarten that the introduction of the Caribbean guilder that is coming in, and you know you have to go and exchange your old money for the new money. I said, don't think that a media campaign is going to be enough, because Miss Mary down in Dutch Quarter or in Middle Region or in Simpson Bay may not have followed your media campaign, but has a ton load of money that needs to be exchanged as well. So make sure that whatever we do in life, you tap into the demographics of your society. Having said that, regulation, my background is legal, regulation will never, ever keep up or be ahead of technology. If anyone in this room expects that to be, I'm sorry, you're a fool. It ain't happening. But with that being said, in law we have something that you can, in anticipation of the law coming into effect, start to utilize that framework. So I agree with the gracious gentleman of the panel, regulation is key. But in the absence of regulation, because you need to allow our parliament also to understand and get the process going, in the absence of regulation, I put before this entire panel, what are the measures that we are going to take to facilitate the transition from non-regulation to regulation? And why am I saying that? Also from a telecommunications background, we used to speak about services baskets. And services baskets had different rates. Right, Minister? In our Smithcoms and Telem days. No one thinks really to create a services basket for small businesses. Not NVGABE, not the banks, no one thinks about services baskets. And if I'm not clear, let me break it down to make sure that the services baskets are understood. Create a basket for the small entrepreneurs to allow them to start up, to grow from stage 1 to stage 2, 3, and 4. Why isn't that a consideration by the banks? GB isn't here, but somebody will send them this video. There are very many entities that are crucial for small business to start up and to grow. If you do not create a small services basket to allow these entrepreneurs to start and to grow, and you grow with them, we're talking about risks. You don't want to take a risk. But if you don't take a risk on the small businesses, who are the key to the growth of our economy on St. Maarten, you will stump our economy forever. So my question to this panel, give us intermediate solutions that allow us to transition from where we are to where we need to go. We don't have to reach there tomorrow, but the trajectory is important.
Thank you, Ms. Brandon.
Thank you. We mentioned that there are several laws in the process to be enacted by the Parliament. That's true. However, what the central bank is doing, what we're doing is based on moral suasion. So we know what are the requirements from that are in the laws right now. So the payments, the potential innovators, potential providers We want to engage in the dialogue with them. That's why we launched the innovation office that's on the website. So, and that's to come into conversation and then to guide those innovators, those fintech innovators, into how to accomplish their goals. So, waiting on the legislation, we acknowledge that we still can do different things, and that's based on moral suasion. So we tell them there is no laws, but the laws are to be enacted soon. So these are the requirements. This is the way you have to move forward. So we acknowledge that part. That was, what was the other part that was?
The services.
Acknowledge that the requirements for small businesses to start and to grow, then you create a bubble for them that allows
Yes.
them to come in and start to grow and go to the next stage.
That-
Go with them.
Yes. This gentleman Mark mentioned sandbox. Okay, the first, we acknowledge, we know also the process to become, because sandboxing is one of the parts. Indeed, before you go live with the product, you should be able to test it and to make sure what are the requirements, what are the how you call it, struikelblokken? What's that?
Stumbleblocks.
Challenges to be able to have a successful thing. So right now we start with this innovation office, and we are also learning as a central bank, because this technology space is difficult, it's not easy. With talking about crypto, blockchain, value asset service, we also as a central bank, we are in the process, we have advisors, domestic advisors, and advisors abroad to also guide the central bank into how to come with solutions, how to deal with this thing. So, because it's not simple. Yeah, so we indeed are acknowledged as what I don't think, maybe you can look at the position of the president of the central bank. I think it's on the website, his speech from last week. So, so there is a commitment of the central bank. I'm part of the team that is working on this. There is definitely a commitment from the central bank to engage, because we know that this is, I think it was said this morning, the solution when we want to diversify our economy, and we don't have the, let's say, what is grondstoffen? We don't have natural resources, but one of the main resources that we do have is the human capacity. With in technology, and you don't need just need a laptop with internet connection, stable internet connection, and electricity. That is also what this mentioned. If you don't have that, that is a challenge. You must have good internet connection. And central bank is from Curaçao and St. Maarten. We can say